All right, let's call the meeting to order at 9:04. And I don't have the agenda up.
We're going to start with reviewing the minutes from October 7th.
Okay, any discussion on those?
Nope.
Okay, motion,
I move to approve the minutes from October 7th, 2021.
and I will second that. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And the motion passes. Today's
Any
the
correspondence?
11. The only correspondence is related to D7, which I sent out. I think I sent it out.
You did with the policy.
The lawyer reviewed it.
Yep.
All right, so let's move into D3, responsible computer network and internet use. Last updated by the VSBA in August 19. Some cross-reference changes. And that was all I noticed.
I didn't have anything on this one. I felt like it was pretty straightforward.
Matt, did you see anything that I really dislike speaker mode? There we go. Now I can see everybody. Did you see anything that you felt didn't work for you all?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward. It seems pretty complete.
So I would suggest that we just mark it as reviewed, considering the only changes were in the name and policy numbers for the cross references.
I concur.
Okay.
I'd like to move that we mark it as reviewed to bring to the board, or we bring to the board to.
And suggest.
I suggest that we reviewed.
I know what you mean.
Okay.
I will second that. Any further discussion?
None.
Okay, then all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That is unanimous. One down. Next is D4. This was reviewed a long time ago. December of 2015. So on this one, when I read it through, I noticed that it talks about the district, the last sentence of the first paragraph, the district shall utilize district-wide salary schedules for professional and non-professional staff. And I don't believe we use schedules anymore. Am I right on that, Matt?
I think you are correct. Now, there is the last couple of pages of our agreement that have columns identified, salary columns are identified. However, there are no steps identified. So I don't know if the columns would qualify as a schedule of sorts, but it's definitely not a traditional salary schedule in the sense of what I think most people use.
Right. And I asked Rich about this when I read it. And he didn't straight out say that should be changed, because I believe the SU does use some schedules, but we don't, at least not the traditional schedules. So and we don't use them for staff or faculty, correct? Okay. So my recommendation would be that we just strike that last sentence, since it doesn't apply.
I'm okay with that.
Matt, since,
I'm just reading to see what it says in the master agreement. Now, it just says there shall be 5 educational columns in Appendix A. So I don't know. I mean, that might qualify as a schedule, but it's just not a traditional schedule. But I wouldn't be opposed to striking the language. I don't know that there's any particular reason, although the attorneys might.
I can ask Bill to run it by the attorney. My guess would be that either they'll want to add something. My guess would be that they're thinking it's going to be similar to mine, which is we don't want to tie ourselves to a policy that requires us to use schedules when we don't. And that would be my concern. So Kate, how about this? Why don't we move to recommend to the board it be warned with the change, with the removal of that last sentence in the first paragraph, pending approval by the superintendent and legal counsel.
That sounds good.
Okay, so I'll second that motion. Any discussion?
None.
Yep. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passes. Let me just make a note. Okay, 2 down. D7. I actually thought this was really straightforward. It's a brand new policy, which was created in order to satisfy the requirements of 20 USC 1415, Individuals with Disability Act. I sent it to Bill when it first came out because we needed both at the SU level and locally. And I guess because it was going to be at the SU level, he sent it to the lawyer. If you look at what the changes the lawyer made, I don't think they make any substantive change. It's almost like grammatical changes. And probably the type of thing that, essentially an editor would do versus, legal counsel checking something. At least that was my view when I read through it. So I'd like to know what you guys think. Just speak up. Yeah.
So I'm looking at, I just want to be clear, what I'm looking at is the highlighted sections. Those are the changes that the attorney is proposing. Is that what I'm looking at?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't have it up, but I think there were a couple of notes in the side column, if I remember correctly.
Okay. So part of this LEA-wide objectives in the LEA plan, we do this with our continuous improvement planning process, which is required for the consolidated federal grants that we apply for and receive every year. So I wonder if any of that work could be referenced. What I'm worried about is if we have a policy here and we reference a changing document, that we're going to have a policy that needs to be changed all the time. So if there was a way to reference the CIP in a more general way, it might, if it satisfied the requirements of the policy, it might make it a little easier to manage.
And that's true for both schools? Okay.
Yeah, each school has to have a CIP. We can't have a CIP for a district. So those have to be done at the school level. Now, we do have a CIP for the supervisory union, but that's a slightly different, that's a more global view.
So, Matt, where are you specifically referencing in the policy?
I'm looking at page 3 under LEA, parent and family engagement.
I think we're on different policies.
Oops, are we not looking at E1?
We are not.
Oh, man, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was on E1 as well.
Oh,
Wait.
no, on D. Oh, you're right. You're right. I skipped. My bad. I went to the new policy.
Oh, you went to D7. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to ask that we take up D7 first, because E1 actually, I think, is quite complicated for us.
It's very complicated.
And not something that we're actually going to act on today. I think we need to work on it. So if it's okay with you guys, can we skip over to D7, do that, which I think is pretty fast, and then come back to E1?
Sure.
Yes.
I was wondering, like, now I see the strikeouts and the colors, and I was a little confused. So
yeah, I that's when you said highlighted, I'm like, I don't remember that being highlighting on the email I sent, but I think 2 days ago I sent an email with that one additional document for us, and that was the D7, which was reviewed by a lawyer.
okay, got it. D7.
Yeah. So we'll get to E1. E1 is, yeah.
I'm just rereading. Looks pretty straightforward. I mean,
So the question is, and I'm trying to find it. All right. So the email that I sent November 9th at 2:34 p.m. has the changes that WCSU's attorney recommends.
And it seems like the attorney, they just made it a more streamlined. Like they took the model policy and they just streamlined everything.
Exactly. I'm not sure we can go wrong either way. My personal opinion is I know that the VSBA and VSBIT spends a lot of time on these policies. And I'm not inclined to do that kind of editing if it doesn't make any substantive changes that make sense for our district.
So as a person with not a big education background, reading through it, like I wouldn't know what FAPE is, FAPE, but having, to the students in the least restrictive environment, like that makes sense to me. So I think adopting the VSBA model policy as is, I think having the lawyer look at it was a great idea. I think that, ensures that we're good. It clarifies it, but I think the edits, I would be okay with just adopting the VSBA model policy.
Which has both the acronym and what it
Yep.
is right before it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the change from utilize to will use. just, I mean, I understand why somebody might want to make that change, but if our insurance carrier didn't want to make that change, I'm just not so sure that we should. So if you're both comfortable with the VSBA's version as recommended, then I'd suggest that we move to warn and adopt, recommend to the board that we warn and adopt it as is.
I
Okay.
second that.
Then any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. We will take care of that. So D7 is done. So that's the easy part of the day. I'll be honest, I started to take our E1, which we had just reviewed or readopted pretty recently, and tried to apply it to this new E1. I know that VSBA and VSBIT spent months on this new E1. This wasn't something that they just kind of put together. There's a lot of yellow here. And that's, every piece of yellow is something we need to discuss and make decisions on. So I think we can go about this two different ways. We can kind of make this a work session and just kind of, work our way through it now. Or we can all take it home and come back at the next meeting with some suggestions for them. I'm open to either method. What do you guys think?
I think it's a lot of detail. I've never seen a policy that's requiring any school to put this much detail into it. That just feels really strange to me. Like that they have to detail out like district goals. Like, I don't know. So I guess I'm overthinking it a little too much. Like the goals don't have to be super detailed. They can be a broad goal, but it's just.
It's a different tact. I think we do have one other policy that has a fair amount of individual information in it for the district, but not as extensive as this.
Mhm.
I have a couple of questions, guys.
Yeah.
One is, does this seem to you, it seems to me like there's an awful lot of procedure in here. So it is 20 pages. It just seems like that's a really long policy, but it does seem like there's a lot of procedure. That's one question. Maybe it could be split out into a procedural document as well as policy. The other question is, I wonder how, and Bill might know the answer to this too, is how the other district has, or the other districts in our SU have tackled this, because there's an opportunity here for the community to have some input in how they are engaged in their school. And, I don't know, there may not be a lot of interest on the side of parents to be involved in that, but it's an opportunity for that engagement. And I wouldn't want to miss that opportunity for parents to have that voice in how they are engaging with their school. And it seems like there's quite a lot of that in this policy.
Kate, I'm not going to let you in a second time.
I know, isn't that funny? So 23 minutes ago, I clicked the button and it's now just, that's how long it took my work computer to engage.
Well, and that's pretty typical of Vermont internet also. If you want to hear, well, I don't know if it's funny, but I'm looking this over, you're like, it's 20 pages long. I'm like, no, mine's only 6. Apparently my printer only wanted to print 6 pages of the 20 for some reason. And I didn't realize it. I just pulled it right out of the printer. And do me a favor, can you look in the last page? What was the updated date? I think it was very recently.
For us, that we updated it, it was
No.
6/7/20. Oh, that they updated it.
Yeah, the VSBA, the new.
9/24/21.
Okay. I'm pretty sure that, in fact, I'm 99% positive that we're the first in the SU to take a look at this. We're by far the most active policy committee that there is. So,
And they want it done before January. Oh, yeah, they want it done before January 15th. That seems like a very fast deadline. Like if they just adopted it at the end of September.
It's also a huge, it's gone up. I mean, the original one was 8 pages. Just looking at the original.
yeah, and this one does require community engagement in order to even complete the process. Kate, where do you see that it needs to be done by January 15th?
Oh wait, that was special education. Never mind. My eyes jumped on the agenda.
That's
So,
okay.
okay, that one's all right. We hit
So-
that one. That was the good one. Okay.
So we have time. And we're going to have to set up I think it's going to have to be a public, a special meeting to engage the public on it. But there's a lot that we need to do before that. I mean, just looking at page 3, number 1. It sort of feels like it's the CIP though.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at before is it's,
Oh,
and it's
right.
referring to the LEA as the supervisory union or the supervisory district. So it may be as simple and as general as referencing that, you know, there is a procedure for that. That procedure for making those CIPs does include community engagement, which is nice. That said, I don't know how great a job we've done at engaging the community and getting people to actually, you know, be involved in creating those CIPs. I think there's probably some room for growth there.
I'd say a lot of room for growth.
Yeah.
The CIP gets updated every 3 years.
Yeah, it's been, some years it's been every 2, and right now we're in a 3-year cycle.
Okay.
So
And
it'll be up this spring, I believe.
oh, I thought we just adopted it the end of last year or the beginning of this. Didn't we?
It's possible. I'm pretty sure our plan says 2019 to 22.
It's possible. I remember questioning, not questioning, but asking the question about why it was essentially the same as the SUs, with the exception of a couple of, you know, small things for each school. And then that got into the discussion of why the superintendents and principal reports are so prescribed. Which then got us, and Matt, thank you so much for sending out those messages. The updates that you send out to the staff, to the parents.
Oh yeah, forwarding those to you.
Yeah, it really makes a big difference to me, and I really appreciate it.
I'm glad. It's nice to sort of, sometimes it feels like we're flooding them, but it's really hard to do like a regular newsletter because the information flows. It doesn't flow on a production pace for a newsletter. So we just try to collect everything when we have a batch, send it out so people get the information as quickly as possible.
Well, with the new website, you can be able to, you know, publish a running list of updates.
Yeah.
So I don't really have a, how do you guys want to proceed on this?
I have a recommendation, if that's helpful.
Please.
Because this is such a big change in policy, and because all of our districts in the SU are going to have to grapple with this, it would be really nice if the effort were somehow a group effort instead of each silo kind of doing their own thing. So I would maybe recommend that we consult Bill on this one and see if he wants to try to spearhead this as all the districts in the SU project, because we're all gonna, I mean, it would be really nice if how we reach out to families, how we engage the community was consistent, and it wasn't, I think it would be nice, I just to have that consistency with all the districts. It also would reduce the amount of clerical work that the staff is having to do to make this all a reality.
That
If
makes
the
sense.
effort were centralized, you know.
And from a family perspective, if a family had children in multiple schools, like it across the SU, that would be good.
I can definitely bring that up with Bill. He needs to schedule a SU policy committee meeting soon anyway. And we could start the process tackling it there. And then spread it out to the whole district, maybe. I don't know. I'll ask him what he thinks about it. I think it makes sense. Although when you start talking about clerical work, I'm the one that does the clerical work for our district. So I sort of would appreciate not having to do that for this policy because it's extensive. So I will do that, and I will let you know what he says. Thank you, Matt. I think that's a great suggestion. You good with that, Kate?
I'm good with that.
Excellent. I think that means we're finished, unless either of you have a policy that you would like to discuss.
Nope.
No, Matt, all's been good. COVID hasn't created any conflicts in policies or anything.
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, that's good.
I don't know what I don't know, but I haven't seen anything.
I working with the coalition, I've been exposed to a lot of superintendents and board members across the state. It is amazing how smoothly RVUSD and the SU in general run compared to so many other ones out there. I was shocked.
A lot of turmoil. Yeah.
A lot of turmoil, and just boards that don't agree on things, and not just don't agree, but get into intra-board fights. And we're lucky. We may disagree on stuff, but we vote and we move on, you know? So, all right. In that case, we are not meeting in December. So our next meeting will be January 14th. And at that, I will adjourn at 9:32.